Without health, we don't have anything. It doesn't matter how much money, how many friends, how good you look. If your health isn't working, you have nothing. Now, weight, energy, pain are all related to how healthy you are. In today's video, I want to talk about the mindset that healthy people have that allows them to keep their health at the optimal level. Let's unpack this topic because I want you to know how to do this. When it comes to solving problems, we have a bad attitude. We want problems to just disappear. And because we want them to disappear, we don't focus on the part of the problem that would allow us to make a significant change. We tend to focus on outcomes rather than the steps that we would need to take to achieve the outcome that we want. And this has to do with our intention. I believe that part of the reason this happens to most people is because instead of intending to solve the problem, we are intending to make the problem go away. That's a very different mindset. And so therefore, the steps that we take to make a problem go away are not the same as we would take to solve it. For example, when I don't want the problem to be there, then what I'm focused on might be, how much am I going to weigh at the end of this? I want to weigh X number, right? Because I want to be thin. Or we're focused on what the food is going to taste like because I want my food to taste delicious. And we might even be focused on how are people going to see me in that new body, so looking amazing, or how are they going to judge what I'm eating? And if you stop and think about everything I just said, none of it is about how will I actually lose the weight if that's what I'm trying to do? How will I solve my metabolic issue if that's what I'm trying to do? So it would sort of be like, I decide I want to buy a 5-bedroom house, and that's where my story ends. I'm not checking to see how much money I have in the bank account. I haven't gone to the bank to see if I can get a pre-approval. I'm not even paying attention to how much money I make. I'm just saying I'm going to buy a 5-bedroom house. That's the goal I've set, and this is what I'm going to do. It's not likely to happen if I don't have the job that would afford me to buy the 5-bedroom house or enough money for a down payment. Focusing solely on the outcome is not going to help you to achieve the goal. When we try to ignore a problem, because first of all, it hurts to see that I don't look the way that I want to look, or that my kids don't listen, or that my relationship is falling. These things hurt. And so sometimes we try to push it away. When we do that, we're actually making the situation worse, because that hurt feeling that we have, unfortunately for many of us, especially if the thing I'm trying to solve is health, and then I'm feeling bad, and that makes me sad, a lot of us have a tendency to self-soothe. And so now we've just added another problem where if the issue that I'm trying to deal with is weight, but I'm not looking at it, and then I'm trying to feel better because I still know that I'm gaining weight even though I'm not looking at it, and I self-soothe with food, well, now I'm doing something that's making my situation worse, makes me feel worse about myself. I'm going to be self-soothing very often. My increase in weight is actually going to speed up. So now that we see the problem, we need to let ourselves understand why it's happening. And if weight loss was strictly about calorie counting and getting your numbers under a certain, we would all be at a good weight. Because if it was strictly that, none of us want to be overweight. So we would learn what to do, we would do it, it would function, and we would get on with life. The problem is, calories in, calories out doesn't actually work. So if my intention is to get my health back under control, if my intention is to lose weight, to solve the problem that's causing my weight gain, remember, I have to look at the root of the problem, then I need to understand what's actually causing my weight gain. And what's actually causing my weight gain has more to do with food than it has to do with calories. That's the first thing I want us to put our mind around. The food I eat determines the weight I am. And okay, yes, the amount of food I eat is going to play a role, but not as big of a role as you think. The type of food plays a much bigger role than the amount of food. And when I learned that, that was a mind-blowing scenario. I couldn't believe that I could eat much more from protein, so animal protein, and not gain weight than eating from fruits and vegetables. I could have a small amount of that and gain weight. That shifted everything. And why did it shift everything? Because my intention wasn't about tasty foods. My intention was about healing the problem that was causing my body to be out of control with weight, in pain constantly, full of inflammation. And learning that the specific foods I was eating was what was contributing to my rising weight, increase in pain, and inflammation allowed me to change what I was doing. If my intention is to solve a problem, but I don't understand why the problem is happening, I will fail. And the reason that most people do not succeed at weight loss or relationships or finance or any of the myriad of other problems that we have in life is because they're not trying to solve the problem, find the root and take care of it. They're trying to silence the problem. I don't want this to bother me. I don't want to feel pain anymore. And that's a mistake. Investing some time and energy into understanding the root cause of your weight gain, understanding the problems existing in your marriage, understanding why the children do that behavior is what's actually going to allow you to do something different and solve the problem. This all sounds very basic. And you're probably saying, of course, why don't we do that? The reason we don't do that is because if I investigate the root of the problem, I risk finding out I'm the root of the problem. We don't want to be wrong. We don't want to fail. We don't want to be the issue. And so we don't end up looking for the true root cause. Because what if it's me? I want to point out when it comes to weight, we think like that partially because we've been led to believe that I am overweight because I overeat my calories, and that's something that I'm doing. Not because the world has been telling me my entire life that it's a calories in, calories out story, when the truth is it's a carbohydrate story. Not because I was led to believe that fruits are the most healthy thing I can have to snack on, when in fact fruit cause weight gain. Especially those delicious sweet fruits that we all love, like bananas and pineapple and all those lovely mangoes that we were eating, pushing our weight higher and higher. Those calories, my age, and the fact that I don't have time to work out all point back to me. And that means there's nothing I can do about it. And that makes me feel horrible. But what happens if we actually do the research and find out that it's not just me? Because I know people who've done that. They figured out that, oh my gosh, it's the food they're eating, and yet still somehow they don't tackle the problem. Why is it sometimes we'll learn that, no, it's the carbohydrates you're eating, and still we don't change it? There's another really problematic thing that happens. Now that I know that it's the food I'm eating, I don't want to fail at changing my food. Because if I fail at changing my food, I'm going to feel bad, right? Again, the world will see that I tried to do something and it didn't work. But can I point out, Wellness Warrior, that if I never try, I don't even know that maybe it would have worked. So I either never do the research to find out the real root problem, I keep eating the poor quality food, my weight rises, I don't feel great, or I do the research, but then I don't engage the behavior, because that way I can keep saying, oh, it's because I didn't try, not because I failed. In both of these scenarios, though, my health continues to deteriorate. This is not a solution. Okay, so let's look at the scenario where I've identified what I want to change, and now I'm actually going to put some energy towards it. But what happens if I don't allow for the possibility that it could fail? Well, I'm either not going to try, so I don't even attempt the solution that's in front of me, or if I try and I don't get the result that I was looking for, I quit. And I want us to understand that failure is not always a bad thing. There are lots of times where you're going to try something and you're going to get an outcome that you hadn't predicted, but maybe it's good. So that's still a fail because I didn't get what I thought I was going to get, but it's a different kind of positive outcome. But there's also going to be the scenario where I'm going to try something and it totally fails. So this is not what I wanted, but I get information from it that helps me to see what the new possible solution might be. I also want us to consider that partial success is still success. If I'm trying to lose 80 pounds, which I had to go through that at one point, right? And I maybe lose 30, and then I hit some kind of stall and I'm not losing anymore. A lot of people would look at that and say, well, I failed. And then unfortunately, if I categorize that as a fail, I might make the mistake of going back to the old way of eating because this didn't work. But Wellness Warrior, I actually would be 30 pounds lighter than I was before. Why do I not see the success in that? We have an all or nothing mentality when it comes to achieving a goal that doesn't help us, because what I really needed to do was to problem solve. Again, going back to that original idea, okay, I'm trying to solve this. What's the reason that I've stopped losing weight? What's going wrong here? And if I'm using a calories in, calories out idea, I'm going to learn that that doesn't work. Okay, fine. If I'm doing something else, I need to evaluate, why did it stop working? There's often really good reasons why weight loss pauses and then starts up again. But if we stop doing the good diet that we switch to, for example, keto, for example, carnivore, for example, paleo, if we stop doing the healthy diet that we switch to and we go back to eating the old diet because this didn't work, well, then we will actually regain the weight and we will actually lose all the momentum that we had from losing that 30 pounds. What positive could have been happening inside your body because you lost that 30 pounds? The other thing I want you to think about is that a lot of the time we have ideas about how much weight to lose that doesn't match with what our body needs to lose. And I've seen a lot of people who are saying that they need to lose 100 pounds. And in fact, maybe they needed to lose 50, but they had this number in their mind of when they were, teenagers. And that's what I used to weigh. And I want to weigh that again. And is that necessarily the healthy weight for the adult version of you? And a lot of the time it's not. Rather than trying to get to a specific number that could cause problems because your body doesn't even want to be at that number, what would happen if we reevaluate what our goal was and take it away from a number and make it about how my body feels? Make it about how much energy do I have? Make it about, am I able to do things in my life easier today than I was able to do it when I had the extra 30, 40 pounds on me? And maybe also understanding that even though I might have had a pause or a stall in my weight loss, if the truth is I need to lose that other 30, 40 pounds, when it's time for my body to lose it, and I'm doing the right things by eating appropriately, the weight loss will resume. If I'm solving the underlying problem, the thing that was causing my weight to rise, then by solving that, my body will regulate its weight. I remember when I started keto, all the doctors were talking about 20 grams of carbs or less. I believed that if I ate 20 grams of carbs or less, I would succeed at this goal, right? Because that's what the doctors were saying. But this idea of needing to evaluate and reevaluate and look at your specific situation became really important to me, because what I ended up learning was that my metabolic health had been so challenged that in fact 20 grams of carb or less wasn't enough for me. In fact, for me to stay in a ketogenic state, I need to be under 18 grams of carbs. That's not the number that we hear all the time. But how did I figure it out? Because I was willing to look at my progress and then problem solve when things weren't going the way that I believed, understood, learned that they should have been going. Everybody's different, but the principles of how a body works pretty much are the same across the board. So it's learning, how do I take these principles and then look at my specific situation and see how does it apply to me? That means I have to have intention of being healthy. I have intentions of solving the underlying problem. This is more than just getting to a number on a scale, because getting healthy gives you much more than a beautiful body. What it gives you is the freedom to live your life the way that you want, doing the things with your body that you want to do without pain at an optimal level. I know that weight and stress stop most people from enjoying their life. So I've created a playlist with the healthiest things that you can do to improve your health. Click on the link and I'll meet you over there.